wonderful. And for those of you who might not know, Reverend Harry wrote that song. Beautiful. Thank you so much. Wonderful prologue to what I'm going to be talking about this morning. And I thought about the Amish in terms of peace, because they're such a peaceful people. And there's this really cute story about the Amish, and I'm sure that you've seen it, where there were a couple of tourists who were following a buggy in the Amish country in Pennsylvania, and on the back of one of the buggies there was a sign that was printed that said, "Energy efficient, runs on oats and grass. Do not step in exhaust." Last week in the paper, I saw an article about Father Damien. I had the honor and the privilege of being able to spend quite a bit of time on Kalaupapa, which is a very small colony on the island of Molokai. And in that area is where Father Damien did so much of his work on what is now called Hansen's disease, but at the time was only known as leprosy. And when he began his work, he was, of course, outcast by the general population, and people were very, very upset that he was even there doing the type of work that he was doing. I don't know if any of you know how badly the people were treated who ended up in that colony. Some of them were literally thrown from ships and were left to swim to shore. And Father Damien did this amazing work, and right now the residents of Kalaupapa are a very proud people, and actually now Father Damien is being nominated as a saint by the Catholic Church. So I thought that was such a wonderful thing to just be hearing about, and to know that there's some really amazing things happening as a result of that. And as you look at this, as you look at him, you know that the kind of work that he did was so amazing, so powerful. And we look at why he was able to do that kind of work. What was it that was within him that he was able to truly give so much of himself in such a positive, powerful way that he literally changed the consciousness of the world? I mean, this took place on a very small island. However, the consciousness of Hansen's disease has shifted and changed, and we know today that it is not the kind of disease that's spreadable as people originally thought. So, you know, when you look at that, what I have to believe, what I have come to believe about this, is that this man had the most amazing sense of inner peace. That he had within himself that sense of knowing that there was totally no conflict within him. And as a result of that, he was able to give so much of himself. So I think this whole idea of inner peace is so important, so significant, that if there was anything that we could really get, that we could really embody and understand, it would be working on this idea of developing inner peace for ourselves. Because there were so many others who rose above the conflicts that exist within themselves, so that they were able also to serve humanity in a higher way. I know we can think of that all of the people who have made a difference in the world, all of them have demonstrated a sense of inner peace. Some of these people are Jesus, or Mother Teresa, Father Damien, Peace Pilgrim, Martin Luther King, even our own Dr. Holmes and Ralph Waldo Emerson. Each of these people had something really solid within them, so that they were able to express something in the world that literally changed the world, changed the consciousness in the world. And they were all examples of what the topic is today, which is living peace. So that's what I'm about today. I'm about how are we living peace. Because I think that the inner peace is our core strength. How many of you ever done Pilates? Phew, yeah. So you know that Pilates is all about inner core and the strength of that inner core. And you don't see it on the outside, do you? You only feel it when you know that you can do some amazing things with the other parts of your body. But there's that inner core that you can't really see, but that you continue to strengthen. And inner peace is exactly like that. You can't see it, but it's there, and the potential for it is there in every single one of us. Now, animals like Daisy, she knows it's there, and she lives it. The animals don't have that influence of the outer world telling us that we don't, or creating for us a sense of conflict. Because that's what happens with us, is we go into this place of conflict because we begin to fight things within ourselves. So what we have to do is be willing to question and challenge anything that prevents us from relying on this inner core of peace. So our inner core, this inner sense of peace, is the result of the transformation in our own minds, of knowing that we are at one with this infinite spirit. Because the inner peace, that sense of inner wholeness and peace, comes from knowing that we are not separate from this amazing presence that is infinitely intelligent and is always available to us and is within us. So regardless of what shows up in the world, and oh boy, do we have a lot that shows up in the world, things that rise up in front of us and challenge us moment to moment, day to day, that most of the time are things that are telling us that we're wrong, or that we're somehow not accepted or not in the flow with. These things that show up in the world that are the tiniest, stupidest things that key us and set us off, that set us off into this thing of inner conflict. And these tiny little things build up and build up and build up, and then it challenges this inner core of peace. And as a result, we even forget it's there because we're so, taken up with all the stuff that's going on outside of us. So if we want to give ourselves to the world in service, if we want to serve as a model of peace in the world, we must first have a sense of that inner strength. Byron Katie, who's a wonderful, fairly recent author, really gets this whole idea and she says, until there is peace within you, there is no peace in the world. Now let's take that in for a moment. Until there's peace within you, there's no peace in the world. Now, and the reason she says that is because she develops this whole understanding for us that the world is within each of us. We perceive the world from our own eyes. We see the world, we experience the world, we demonstrate the world from our own eyes. I think I mentioned once that I had been hiking on the shores of Tahoe early in the morning. It was dawn, and the lake was absolutely clear and crystal. It was just the most amazing thing. And I found myself standing on the shore, looking across the lake and seeing the snow-capped mountains across on the other side. And all of a sudden in that moment, I had this amazing revelation that I would not be able to see and appreciate that beauty unless it was already within me. And that's when we get it. When we realize and know that we don't appreciate anything, any of the qualities of God, until we know, until we honor and realize that they're already within us. And that peace is within us. It is within us. So our ability to affect change in the world is our ability to remember that we have that within us. We don't have to change what's out there because we're so busy trying to change what's going on out there. And what we really have to do is realize that until we change what's in here, out there ain't going to change. It just won't. We must change where we're coming from. So regardless of the appearances, and there are many, peace is within us, and it is the core strength of our infinite selves. So Dr. Holmes says this: peace stands at the door of our consciousness and awaits our acceptance of it. However, it does not stand outside of our door, waiting for entrance, so much as it stands inside, waiting to be expressed in everything we do. So some of us are still, waiting for peace to knock on the door. It won't happen. We have to know that it's going to be coming from within us. It's waiting. So I could easily change the name of this teaching. I know we've been going through this whole name change thing, and it's become, it kind of enveloped everyone in our movement right now. But really, when I think about the teaching of the science of mind, it really is about living peace. It's about living peace. I would call this teaching living peace. Because if we can do that, if we can live peace in every moment, our lives would change and the world would change. If everybody in this room lived from that inner core of peace every moment of the day, we could change the world. And I dare you. I dare you to do it. I dare you, because you're saying inside yourselves, oh, no, couldn't happen, not possible. Try it. Let's try it. Let's try an experiment. The hard part is realizing that there's a lot of work to do, because we have to work on it continuously. We have to work on changing our arrogant attitudes in the world. So to know, and first of all, to accept the fact that we do have arrogant attitudes in our minds. I know I do. I'll share some of that with you in a moment. Because living peace means eliminating the wars that exist within our own minds. And so we may have what we think are casual conversations. And I caught myself over and over again a few weeks back. I now love AT&T. And, even though they have continued to charge me incorrectly for the last year and a half, and my bills keep coming even though Mel spends hours and hours and hours on the phone trying to change this and trying to get the bills changed. Everything was absolutely fine until last month when there it was again. The extra $120 charge on the bill that shouldn't have been there. And, and so it's like this conversation that I have first in my own mind about now how I love them. And then what idiots they were, and what a joke this was, and how could they have this enormous company and be screwing everybody out of their money, and on and on and on. And all of a sudden I stopped and I said, oh my God, look at the conflict that's going on in your own mind. You can't even resolve this issue with AT&T. How do you expect to resolve it in the world? I mean, really. Let's look at this. Let's look at all the tiny little things that just set us off, that get us moving on these things that just irritate us because we think someone is incompetent. Why do we think they're incompetent? Because somehow they're making us feel less than. Why am I giving power to that? Oh my goodness. So I made a pact with myself, and it's been really working very well. And every time I have a conversation with someone on the phone, that's the company or them out there. I realize that every casual conversation, every conversation I have, regardless of what it's about, I must come from that place of inner peace. I must center myself in that core and realize that I'm having this conversation from peace. And yes, There may be times that I fall off that peace bandwagon, and that'll happen to all of us. But I think it's a matter of realizing that we've done it and saying, okay, I understand I need to get back on track and come from that place again. Because there's always a way to resolve things peacefully. And it's not that, you know, we don't have conflicts in our lives, because conflict is a matter of resolution. It's a matter of knowing that there's a way to move through it. And as we move through it peacefully, to know that we grow from it, to know that we come out a better, a bigger person as a result of that, and that we can engage in conflict in a way that is peaceful. Now that may seem like an oxymoron, but it really is a possibility. It's a possibility for all of us in what we do. Everything we do has the potential for peace in it. When we sit down to eat our food, we don't do always a formal blessing around our food, but I always am thankful for my food. I'm thankful for the clothing I buy in the store. I'm thankful for everything I see. I'll just drive out on the road and I'll see an amazing tree or a bird, and I just feel the sense of gratitude. And as we do that, we strengthen the inner core of peace. We contribute to that strength that is within us, so that when we need it the most, it'll be there. It'll be there for us when we really need to rely on it and need to say, I need to look at that sense of peace. Dr. Holmes said the most important thing in any spiritual teaching in the world. And when he said, find me a person who is for something and against nothing, who is redeemed enough not to condemn others of the burden of this soul, and I will find another Savior, an exalted human being. When you find someone who is for something and against nothing, and again, you know, I can see your little minds turning and saying, oh, there's got to be something that we're going to be against in the course of time. And there's a way to look at what can we be for. Look at the conflict or the situation or the challenge that may be going on, and you want to say, I don't want that. Okay then, but what do you want? What is the peaceful way to resolution of whatever that is? Stand on that side. Get yourself out of the against side and move yourself into the place of what am I for, because that's stronger, that's bigger, that's more powerful, and it's coming from the inner core of peace. And it's allowing you to create a bigger idea. So questions to ponder. I know, I always have questions for you. But it's good. Questions are good. So the question, the first one is, it's basic. What are the negative thoughts about anyone or anything that I just need to let go of, that I need to release? What are the thoughts about AT&T or the IRS or my old school or my parents or some of the things that happened to me over the course of time? What are those negative thoughts that I need to just release, just let go of? That'll take about 3 years. So, and after we get to know, it won't take you long at all. So you're already there. You're already in that place of knowing that whatever it is you need to let go of, you can just identify it and say, I release it, I let go, it's gone. Another question, am I ready? This is a hard one. Am I ready to rise above the conflicts of what I see in the world and envision harmonious resolution? Can we see everything that's happening in the world and know that there is a way for all of that to be resolved in a harmonious way? And as I said before, yes, there is conflict in the world, and there's a way through it. And there's always a way to move to a place of peace. We must envision that sense of harmony and resolution, and know that at somewhere in that highest vision, there is peace on this planet, and that we can know that, and we can move to it and toward it. And the last question, am I ready to rise above the conflicts that I have created within myself and resolve all the issues of my own self-expression? And that probably is the hardest. How do I move beyond the conflicts that I've created within myself and move to a greater idea of my own self-expression. Because the conflicts that we've created within ourselves come from our inability to love ourselves, to know that we are enough, that we are deserving of this life, that we are a part of an amazing community of humanity. And each and every person that is present on this planet has a role to play. And it is significant and important. And each and every one of us should just bask in that sense of love within ourselves that we know is there regardless of the pain, the horrible things that may have happened to us, the horrible experiences that we may have had. What we have to know is that within ourselves there is an inner core of love that stands for us, that holds us, that knows that we are whole and perfect, and that we can rely on that. And it is part and parcel with that inner core of peace. And we are absolute whole beings. And if we can just get back to that place and realize that we can move through, move beyond, forgive, let go, release, move into the present moment with a sense of well-being and a sense of love for who we are. And I know it's not an easy job. I know it isn't. I've been there. I know it's tough, but I know it can be done. I know it can be done. So Dr. Holmes also says, above the wind and higher than the whirlwind, enshrined in the heart of God, there is a voice within you which says, peace, be not afraid, it is I. When it says it is I, this is the God within each of us. This is the God within which is peace within us. We were meant to be living expressions of that one, of that power, of that presence. Living expressions of the God within. And as we live peace, as we come from peace, we become powerful humans in a society that needs us badly. It needs our peace. It needs our being for something. It needs that sense of confidence. It needs that sense of compassion and love. It needs us. And we can be that when we come from that place of pure peace and pure love. When my father passed away, the only thing that kept me going was a statement that I kept repeating to myself over and over again over the next few months. And that was this: be like the bird that, pausing a while on boughs too slight, feels them give way beneath her, and yet sings, knowing that she hath wings. For you have wings, so it's...